Oh man, so ALGORAND and COTI have both shown some signs of real strength at a key support level in a time when Bitcoin is having a bit of a wobble over the last 12 to 18 hours. I'm Ijaz and I'm here to bring you crypto analysis with a hint of technical and fundamental analysis. So if you like that blend between fundamental and technical, please consider subscribing. Let's get straight into the charts. So we can see here that, let's start with COTI, and I'm on the daily chart now. You can see that COTI has been in our buy zone for quite a while. Okay, so we can see that we had the cup and handle pattern which formed. Let's zoom out, let's show you guys that for those of you who are new. We had this massive cup and handle pattern which formed. We broke into the handle, we broke out of that handle upwards, and we started heading towards our price target. We then got rejected at this 66 cent mark, and we struggled to break that. We had a few attempts, and then we entered this downward channel. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to the hourly to see this a little bit easier. You can see we headed into this downward channel. We tried to break out of this channel, ended up going sideways, and we've pretty much been there ever since in this buy zone. And I've always said that I'm happy accumulating between 53 and 49 on COTI. However, I wouldn't be averse to seeing a correction down to 43. Now, the beautiful thing we have seen here is this bit here. I was worried at this point that we were going to see a break here on 1 o'clock my time through the 49 cent mark. Now we got this candle which wicked down, and let's go into the hourly. We would see this even better actually. So you can see here we nearly broke down. Okay, over that hour there, broke us straight through 49, but then we saw some good strength as the price tried to go lower and it got to 46. The dip was bought and we ended straight back up into our buy zone. So what that tells me is we have a lot of bulls saying we don't want this price to fall below exactly where this box is. Look how many times we've managed to keep that in the box. Now, please remember, that doesn't mean we won't fall below 49 now and maybe head to 43. Even if we do head to 43 or even test this trend line here, which is the top of the wedge when we fell down on the more broader view, even if we come down to these levels, I'm a buyer at this point, right? Because I can see that there's strength in the market and COTI's ready to have a run. Now, the reason I have high conviction in COTI, and I can talk about the fundamentals all day, and we have spoken about the fundamentals, is obviously the fact that they're so well partnered with Cardano. And we know Cardano hasn't moved. These coins, since that issuance, have become married, right? The coins are now married. And we had somebody comment that below asking me, will COTI now move in correlation to ADA? And my belief is yes, absolutely. It already did historically, but now since they became the issuer of the JED token, which is going to be the gas fee on the Cardano network, this is a no-brainer, right? They're going to move in tandem. And therefore, if ADA's not moving, if the mothership is not moving, then COTI will not have the room to go. And we know how Cardano trades, right? We've just seen Cardano broke down from its wedge. I'm just showing you here on the hourly chart. We had this wedge and it broke down from the wedge. We're getting some support on Cardano at $2.85, which is fine, but I wouldn't be surprised if we go test the bottom of the wedge at $1.99. But for Cardano, and if we show this on the daily chart, and I've explained this in previous videos, you have a lot of periods, which I've marked here in the red rectangles, where Cardano just doesn't feel like moving. It just goes sideways, and we're getting that period here again. We've had sideways movement pretty much since September, and that's what Cardano does, and then it will decide to go on its pump when it feels like it, okay? So when that pump comes, then you get the room for COTI to move, and all of the great projects related to the Cardano network. That's just what's going to happen. The dynamic has now changed for COTI because it's so intrinsically linked and related to the Cardano network. Now, also on COTI, just looking at this day chart, obviously we had this cup and handle pattern, but what I can also notice is, let's get our brush, and you can see we're also forming somewhat of a head and shoulders pattern. So you can consider this a bit of a head and shoulders pattern, okay? Now, if you look at that as a head and shoulders pattern with a neckline at that level there, the 49 cent level, which is what we've shown as really good support and resistance. It formed really good resistance here, here, and here, which is why I was so confident that we'd get a bunch of strength around this mark here, which is what we've just seen at 49 cents in the buy zone. Now, what we could see is the following. we've had our head and shoulders, we broke through the neckline, and now we're getting what is called a retest. Now, that can happen a lot of times when you get a breakout from the head and shoulders pattern. It's very common for you to get a retest, which is another great buying opportunity, which is why we've got our buy zone there, before we head higher to break the higher highs, okay? So this is really important move for COTI, and it sets up a really nice move for the longer term. So for anybody with high conviction in COTI who's holding on to this, you should feel quite confident that this is really setting up for a nice move. And for me, the fact that we've just not had a crazy move since the massive Cardano announcement is a bit of a catalyst for me to feel confident behind COTI and why this can move. So definitely still bullish on COTI. Let's flick over to ALGORAND. And we're getting a bit of a similar story with ALGORAND. So you can see here we showed some really important strength at this one here, this $1.63 mark. Let me head into the 4-hourly and hopefully it'll become a bit more clearer. Let's remind ourselves of where we've come. So we were trading along, we came into this wedge, we thought we were going to break down, showed some strength, broke out, and we kind of had a good, almost, our price target was all the way up here, but we got to the first price target, which was the top of the wedge, right? So you remember I said that at $2.05. We met that. We then entered another wedge, a slightly smaller wedge, and this time we broke down. Now, obviously, some of the macro conditions did not help. Bitcoin was running and people were rotating away from altcoins, but we did break down and we lost the 179 mark. Now, we said that there would be a little bit of support here at the apex of the wedge, which sits at, that is $1.63. And we've shown some good strength here to bounce back here. We thought we were going to dip below, but we have bounced back. And that is a really good sign in a broadly red market that Algorand was able to hold that level here. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we test the bottom of the wedge, which is why I've got this level marked out at $1.52. So I'm prepared for it to come here. But again, I'm not too concerned with Algorand there. It's a layer 1 solution. You can see total value locked is going one way, and layer 1s are hot right now. Solana, Phantom, Algorand, these platforms are doing really well right now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them run when the broader market runs. And that's what brings me on to the Bitcoin dominance. When Bitcoin dominance, let me switch over to the daily. For a long period of time here, we were in a downward wedge, okay? We were in a massive downward wedge on Bitcoin dominance. So that dates you back to the 25th of July. Now, on the 17th of September, so months later, we finally got this breakout, which is where Bitcoin is displaying strength. Now, if I zoom in to let's just zoom into that there, actually. We can see it there on the daily. Let's just show you that. You can see we've now had 2 daily red candles, and I've said in previous videos yesterday that I would not be averse to Bitcoin cooling down a little bit. I've got massive exposure to Bitcoin, so it's not like I want this pump to come to an end, but what I'm saying is I'm happy for Bitcoin, let's just look at the charts, to have a slight cooling off and to test not only the EMA ribbon, but even test the broader white trend line we have here. Because it's run up so far in this pump, we're extended from our EMA ribbon, I wouldn't be averse to getting a little bit of cooling off, even as far as down as 50, before then getting the energy to move higher and break 60,000 with real momentum and strength. Because you can see right now, the volume is there, it's good volume, but the RSI is overheating. And that gives me an indication that I wanted to cool off a little bit, gain some momentum, reverse around here, and then go up with some real strength. And that's what we want to see on Bitcoin. Now, for that to happen, we would see a dip down in our dominance, okay, which is what we're seeing here. So we get a little bit of weakness in Bitcoin showing versus altcoins, which will give altcoins some strength versus Bitcoin. And that could then be the sign of altcoins picking up some momentum. Now, longer term, over the next, weeks, what are we looking at in this quarter? I think this is going to be Bitcoin's quarter, right? But like I've said before, I'm not one to try time the market. I'm not going to time this market between Bitcoin and altcoins. So those influencers, those traders out there who are switching their altcoins into Bitcoin or even taking a view and going the other way, that's not what I'm doing here. I don't want to miss out on this Bitcoin pump, so I've positioned as much exposure in my portfolio allocation as I can to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin moves, I'm good. If altcoins just pause like they are now, I'm good. They're not losing massive value at all. I mean, 1-2% hovering on some of these altcoins is fantastic while Bitcoin is running, right? So your portfolio should still be fine. But at the same time, we're going to get a point when Bitcoin stops running, when it finishes its pump. I don't know where it's going to finish that pump, right? Whether that's at all-time highs, whether it's at 100,000, whether it's at 150,000. You will then see everybody at that point will be trying to time their way out of Bitcoin into Ethereum, into Cardano, into Solana. But guess what? At that point, Ethereum will be $4,000, right? Cardano will be sitting back up closer to $3. Solana will be back FOMOing in at 215. Don't be that person, right? You're getting these coins at a discount now. Solana is down 4%. Luna is down 4%. COTI is down 4%, been sitting at $49 for a long time. That's an opportunity to accumulate. Not when it's knocking back on the door at 66 cents, right? Because that's when everyone's going to be buying it. So that's the moral of the story here is do the opposite of what the herd is doing. Don't just follow the herd. Try to come up with your own conviction for your favorite plays. And if you see the prices right, you buy. And I used the analogy yesterday, right? If you know winter is coming, buy a winter coat in summer. If you know altcoin season is going to be coming, buy your altcoin now and hold them. I know you're missing out on some of the Bitcoin gains, but you should have, as we've always said, a good proportion, at least 50% of your allocation in Bitcoin for this reason. Bitcoin is the mothership, and when it decides to go on a tremendously massive tear, you don't want to miss out on that. But at the same time, I know you want to have the massive growth of altcoins as well, and you don't want to miss out on that. That's why you should split your portfolio. Again, I'm going to link up that video so you guys can watch how I set out my portfolio, and hopefully that gives you an idea. And just one last thing to show you guys. Let's take a look at the fear and greed index before I let you go. So this would have updated. So let's have a quick refresh. And we can see now we're on 70. It was 78 yesterday. We got a little bit of cooling off again because of the CPI reading, right? We saw Bitcoin come down. Greed has kind of calmed down a little bit. A little bit of more fear has come into it. But I think that will subside once we get our CPI reading. Now let's take a look at our alt season graph. Let's give it a bit of a refresh. And we can see that on the altcoin season, we're at a 47, okay? So we can see that we're at a 47, which is in the middle. We're just rotating down. Let me move my big head out of the way. There we go. So we're just coming down. We're in the middle. We're in this nice green zone. We're not full into Bitcoin season yet. This is your Bitcoin season, guys. And when this happens, you'll know about it. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people now selling their alt, selling this, and rotating into Bitcoin season. Because it looked like we were going into a full bear market, into a full alt season. We didn't quite. It's rotating back, and it looks like we're heading towards a Bitcoin season. Now, like I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not moving across into one or the other. I'm just keep building my portfolio. I want as much exposure to all of these things as possible, and therefore I need to earn more fiat currency and put fiat into crypto, Bitcoin and alts, right? All at the same time. That's what I'm trying to do, build my position in everything. I don't want to sacrifice my Solana position for some more Bitcoin. I know there are people out there who can do that and they do trade, but for every one person that does it successfully, there will be at least 10 to 100 which are struggling to time their entries in, right? They'll be selling their Bitcoin and then buying the Ethereum at $4,500 later on when you could have had it at $2,800 just recently. Okay. So we're clearly on the path to some sort of a Bitcoin cycle, but that doesn't mean we should FOMO in our allocations. We should still be pragmatic, still be smart, build conviction in our highest plays, and build out our portfolio allocation. Really important. So there you have it, guys. There's the update on what is going on with COTI and ALGORAND, and also some of the other broader market and my perspective. If you like my perspective, then please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.